wasting nor action within that. But thou shalt call thy walls salvation, and thy gates praise. The sun shall be no more thy light by day, neither for brightness shall the moon give light unto thee. But the Lord shall be unto thee an everlasting light, and thy God thy glory. Thy sun shall no more go down, neither shall thy moon withdraw itself. For the Lord shall be thine everlasting light, and the days of thy mourning shall be ended. Thy people also shall be all righteous. They shall inherit the land forever. The branch of my planting, the work of my hands, that I may be glorified. A little one shall become 1,000, and a small one a strong nation. I, the Lord, will hasten it in his time.
The ocean spirit dances today to abundance and joy and to eternal peace.
Jake about to live, man. Jake about to truly live forever. And how we gonna tap in? Through this wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, which is gonna lead us into eternal life. This wisdom is gonna bring us into the kingdom of heaven, which starts with the elect. In Lord's will, we are those men. This is the book of Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 6, and verse 17. And it reads, "For the very true beginning of her, and her represents wisdom. For the very true beginning of her is the desire of discipline. And the care of discipline is love. And love is the keeping of her laws. And the giving heed unto her laws is the assurance of incorruption. Therefore, the desire of wisdom bringeth to a kingdom." So this wisdom is going to bring us into the kingdom of heaven, because it starts with the Lord's men. If your delight be then in thrones and scepters, O you kings of the people, honor wisdom, that you may reign forevermore. You see?
To the glory of our golden age, may it shine forever.
So we're going to reign forever. Lord's willing, we are part of the elect.
Let us be glad and rejoice and give honor to him, for the marriage of the Lamb is come, and his wife hath made herself ready. And her was granted that she should be arrayed in fine linen, clean and white. For the fine linen is the righteousness of saints. And he saith unto me, Write, blessed are they which are called unto the marriage supper of the Lamb. And he saith unto me, These are the true sayings of God.
All right. Shalom. First and foremost, I would like to give all praise and glory unto Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Makakwadash, and double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS who rule well, teach well, being great examples of what younger brothers. And peace and blessings and salutation to the hopeful lake out there pushing his word and truth and in sincerity across the four winds in the name of Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Makakwadash. Pushing to get up out of here, man. And shalom to the elect, the hopeful elect, you brothers, all right, you few sisters that are watching, that subscribe to this truth, wholeheartedly, have came back to the obedience of the scriptures through faith in Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. May we continue on, all right, in this faith, may we hold fast to what we have until the time of deliverance, man, until the time of Yahweh Shai. And that's why we go into, these morning news and prophecies, all right, which is an indicator of where we at concerning the return of Yahweh Shai, man. You know, because it's all about the return of Yahweh Shai. We've been awakened in this moment, all right, to be prepped, okay, for the return of Yahweh Shai. As teachers, you know, is just as John, all right, the Baptist, you know, he prepared the way for Yahweh Shai. You know, so the Lord raised up a ministry that's preparing us, all right, for the second coming of Yahweh Shai. You know, and he's coming with judgment this time. You know, the first time he came as, you know, a sacrificial lamb, okay, his blood had to be shed for the remission of sins, okay, and in this time, that blood covers, all right, a remnant. You see, there's a remnant that's pardoned because of the blood of Yahweh Shai. You know, so when he comes back for judgment, well, there's going to be mercy for a remnant. You see, and Lord will we of that remnant. Okay. So as we go into prophecy, you know, we're seeing the build up to this second coming. Because everything that we see this devil is getting ready to do is going to fail, you know, and we go into these things because we have to get ready to take a hard stance in righteousness, man. You know, we gotta be ready to lose everything to gain, all right, the reward, okay, that's coming with Yahweh Shai. Okay. So we're being built up in faith, you know, we're being built up in understanding, okay, and may we endure, you know. So I want to touch on a few things with this morning news and prophecy, you know, things going on. But first, let's go into the scriptures dealing with the devil, you know, because we go into these things from a spiritual aspect. You know, we go into the, you know, the details of, you know, the happenings. Okay, but it's based on what the Lord is doing in the spirit. Okay. So when we go to the book of Job, chapter 20, okay, in verse 12. All right, and this is speaking of the wicked. This is the NLT. It said they enjoyed the sweet taste of wickedness, letting it melt under their tongue. They savored it, holding it long in their mouths. All right, because these devils have been able, you know, to prosper in their wickedness, man. Okay, they've been able to enjoy, all right, prosperity, okay, within their wickedness, man. You see, wickedness tastes sweet to Esau. That's why he's so addicted to it. You see, he's addicted to his wickedness because he's been winning. Okay, he's been winning, being a complete devil in the earth, man. You see, so this devil has been able to enjoy, all right, the fatness of the earth through complete wickedness, man. Okay, it says 14, but suddenly the food in his belly turned sour, and see, now we're seeing the food in his belly turn sour, man. So everything that this devil was able to, everything that all the benefits that this devil got from his wickedness now is turning sour in his belly, man. You know, he was good going down, you know, when he was coming up during the Renaissance and he was colonizing the earth and he set up, you know, his governments and democracies and, you know, these enchantments that he's been able to send forth throughout the earth. Okay, this corrupt, you know, economy, this corrupt global, you know, economic system. It was sweet, you know, while it was going down, but now things are starting to sour. Okay. Now this devil, he's suffering from spiritual food poison, man. You see? Now all this wickedness is turning sour into him. You see? A poisonous venom in his stomach. Okay? So the things that you know that he got to enjoy because of his wickedness now is turned sour into him, and we're seeing it. Okay? We're seeing that prophecy is beginning to work against this devil, man. Okay? It was sweet on the come up. It was sweet when he had, you know, everything, okay, playing out according to his agenda. But now we're seeing that prophecy is beginning to interrupt this man. Okay, and this man has done so much wickedness, man, that is working against him as well. He's done too much. He's done too much treachery. He's done too much, because the devil does a lot of treachery, a lot of, you know, double crossing, triple crossing. So now these things are going to work against him. He's tangled up in his own wickedness, man. Okay, we're watching a man that has gotten so entangled and he can't work his way out of it, man. You know, he's still able to achieve particular things, but that's because the Lord wants him to achieve particular things, man. The Lord wants to depopulate. The Lord wants this man to bring about, the MOTB, because that's the hour of temptation, because we got to be tried. And like other Apostle Tahar said, that's the Most High's mark. Okay? There's the Most High who's bringing that mark across, because it's going to test the world. And the elect got to be tested before we deliver, man. Okay? So there's a few things that the Lord's going to allow him to achieve, to check off his checklist. Okay, but there's a lot of things the devil not going to be able to do, man. Okay, verse 20, Job 20:15 said they will vomit the wealth they swallowed. The Most High won't let them keep it down. Yeah, so Esau, he's finna vomit up everything that he's taken down in his rulership. Anything of substance, any true wealth that this devil has, he's going to lose all of it, man. He has hoarded up all this wealth just for the elect, man. Just for Yahweh Shai and the elect. Okay, all this finna be transferred, okay, to the elect, man. Okay, Yahweh Shai and the rest of the 1/3. You see? So what we're finna see is that this devil, he's so greedy and undisciplined. All right, because if you eat too much, your body starts to reject. Okay, and this devil, he done did too much. Okay, so now he's getting ready to vomit up everything, man. You see, it says they will suck the poison of cobras, the viper will kill them. Yeah, so going back to this devil's own wickedness, okay, is beginning to work against him, man. Okay, you got actual alliances between these nations that's going to work against this agenda, man. They agree, and they got these nations have positioned themselves to go digital and go fully on board with a new world order, with a technocracy. Okay, but there's some inner fighting, all right, that's going to disrupt everything, man. Okay, and we're seeing that inner fighting now. Okay, that's why scripture say, if Satan shall be divided, his kingdom cannot stand. Okay, so these devils, all right, are divided, and these devils do the same thing every time. Okay, when they don't have no one else to conquer, they begin to conquer each other. They begin to go at each other, man. Okay, it's a den of snakes. You see, dealing with these devils, man. Verse 17 said they will never again enjoy streams of olive oil or rivers of milk and honey. They will give back everything they work for. Their wealth will bring them no joy. Yeah, so they're not going to get to enjoy the fatness of the earth for too much longer, man. They had a limited blessing. Okay, their blessing was time sensitive, and now they see that their time is running short because things are starting to go backwards for them. They're still able to move forward with what the Lord wants them to do. Okay, but then there's other things that's not working in their favor, man. Okay, so these devils know that they have a short time, man, and they only got so long, all right, to be in this position to where they, all right, enjoy, okay, the wealth of the earth, man. Okay, they can scheme and plot and just take more and more of the earth, man. You see, that's why I said they would never again enjoy streams of olive oil or rivers of milk and honey, which that's going back to the blessing. The Lord promised us a land of milk and honey. Okay, which that's abundance, that's blessing, So these devils have had, this temporary blessing, and what have they done? They ran the earth to the ground. Okay, they completely ran the earth to the ground, man. You see, the earth, all right, was meant to be a paradise of abundance. Okay, and these people have turned it to a goddamn trap house, man. Okay, the earth is a goddamn toxic waste under this nigga, man. Okay, but he said they would never enjoy streams of olive oil and rivers of milk and honey. His rulership is over. He's never coming back to power. Okay, he's never coming back to any, all right, capacity of power, man. Okay, he's going to be the lowest of the low slave in the kingdom, and he's going to be eradicated, man. Okay, it said they will give everything, they will give back everything they work for. Their wealth will bring them no joy, because money can't get him out of this situation. Money can't get him out of the judgment of the Lord, because Esau is used to paying, because even with his military, which his military gets him out a lot of jams. Okay, But then also with his wealth, he's able to buy things off. He's able to, pay people off in leadership positions, and he's able to, manipulate and just get everyone to sell out for his agenda, man. Okay, no matter how wrong it is, this man has so much wealth, man, that he's just able to buy people off. Either unalive you or buy you off, man. Okay, but see, he's in the position now to where the wealth that he's hoarded up all these centuries, well, it's not going to do him any good against the judgment of the Lord, man. You can't pay the Most High off, man. Everything is his anyway. Okay, it says Job 20:19 said, "For they oppressed the poor and left them destitute. They foreclosed on their homes." Yeah, and this is what this man does on a global scale. He this man comes, all right, and creates scenarios to justify bringing his military, all right, to certain parts of the world, okay, so he can do what, man? So he can come and rob, okay, set up institutions that leave the people impoverished, okay. These third world countries are rich in resources, but poor in this devil's economy, okay, showing you how wicked his economy is, man, to where you can be rich in resources, all right, but poor economically because he sets it up to where he the only one that benefits off the resources of the earth, man. He comes and just takes over, all right, all these different places of the earth, okay, and leave the locals impoverished, okay, and he sets up his industries and institutions, okay, and he buys off these governments to where only a few families of Edomites get wealth from it, man. Okay, and this is what this man, has been his what you call colonization. Okay, Esau has turned the earth to a big slave colony, man. You see, even America, man, America is nothing but, all right, it's just the most it's a slave colony, okay, with the most privileges, okay. You see, because people benefited off the crumbs of, the world reserve currency, okay, but even that was short-lived, okay, and now we're seeing that the American government is becoming more and more tyrannical against his own people, okay. Verse 20 said they were always greedy and never satisfied. Nothing remains of all the things they dreamed about. Yeah, man. So these devils are so goddamn greedy. Okay, and they can never be satisfied, man. They will always want more. They will always want more wealth, more land, more power, more control. They will always want more. That's why he's not fit to be a ruler. That's why he's in self-destruct mode, man. Okay, but it says nothing remains of all the things they dreamed about, man. So Esau has a lot of ambition and agendas and intention, but the Lord finna wipe this shit clear, man. Okay, the Lord finna wipe this thing clear, man. This whole New World Order agenda is finna be wiped clear, man. It's finna be erased out of existence, man. All right, the Lord gonna allow the devil to only get so far, man. Okay, it says nothing is left after they finish gorging themselves. Therefore, their prosperity will not endure. Okay, and this nigga plays a zero-sum game to where he has to have everything and no one else can have nothing. Okay, and once they take everything from the world, whenever they take everything from the nations, they always look at each other and like, nigga, I want everything you got now. They rob the earth together. Okay, and when they get to a certain point, they look at each other and be like, nigga, I want everything you got now. Okay, and they fall out. Okay, they do it time and time again, and this time is no different. Except this time, it's the last time. All right, these niggas going to be in power. Okay, this is the last time. All right, these devils having authority in the earth, man. Verse 22, it says, in the midst of plenty, they will run into trouble and be overcome by misery. Okay, in the midst of plenty, which this is the scripture we always go into. All right, in his sufficiency, he shall come into straits. Okay, so here it is. The devil has more wealth, more technology, okay, than he's ever had. All right, but now he's running into trouble. Why? Because of prophecy. Okay, and ultimately it's going to lead to his misery, man, enslavement, poverty. Okay, and then it's going to be done away with, man. So in the midst of plenty, all right, because this devil, he's at the peak of his power, all right, and that's why he's also at the peak of his pride, okay, and pride go before a great fall, okay. So they will run into trouble and be overcome by misery. May the Most High give them a belly full of trouble. May the Most High rain down His anger upon them, okay, and it's going to be in the form of missiles and the chariots, man, which is going to break this place up, man. Okay, so now the devil, he's running into scrapes. Okay, and the Lord is showing this nigga he limited too, man. And Esau's so greedy that, and he's so delusional. Okay, and he believes his own hype so much, man. All right, he's stretching himself too thin, and he's running into the limitations that he has as a man. Okay, it's only so much the military can do. It's only so much. All right, it's only so many resources he has, man. It's only so much his technology can do, man. Esau is starting to peak out. Okay, he's starting to peak out, man. And that plays into him knowing that he have a short time. The fact that he's starting to peak out, and certain things even going backwards, man. Okay, so this man know, like, I can't keep going like this. I gotta pull this off, man. Okay, so prepare, the devil to get impulsive. Prepare the devil, to get more aggressive, with his agenda. Okay, because he has limited time. He's limited resources, limited time, limited power. Okay, he's limited, man. You see, Job 20:24, it says, when they try to escape an iron weapon, a bronze tip arrow will pierce them. Okay, so when they try, to escape the iron weapon, it says a bronze tip arrow, will pierce them, which ultimately we know these devils are going to escape into, the bunker. All right, but these missiles are going to destroy this infrastructure these devils want to set up for this technocracy, man. Okay, because this infrastructure is an extension of them. Okay, and these weapons, all right, these nukes are going to obliterate, because most of the data centers in the earth are here in America, man. And the data centers is vital to running this technocracy, man. Okay, so I think you have over a third of the data centers in the world right here in America, and they plan on building a lot more to make it have over half of the world's data centers. Okay, and they're not going to invest in the people of America, but they're investing into the digital infrastructure of America, man. But all that's going to be broke up in this war. All right, plus your Howard Shah and the chariots, man. It says the arrow was pulled from their back, and this is the ancient, king talking war. Okay, you got your enemies, full of arrows, man. Okay, that means you're in the victorious position, when you're in the position where you're pulling arrows from your enemy's back, man. Okay, and we know these arrows are going to be the nukes that destroy this man's infrastructure, man. Okay, and everything that he plans on doing is going to come down. Okay, in this third world war. You see, this war is going to escalate beyond what the devil intends it to escalate, man. Okay, he's not going to be able to manage this war, okay, and just kick it and chill in the new world order. No, okay, things are going to backfire all over the place, man. Okay, and when this devil looks up, his ass going to be in chains, in captivity, man. Okay, when this devil, okay, gets through being Tasmanian devil, spinning all around the earth, trying to set up this new world order, man, this nigga is going to look up and be in chains, man. Okay, it says the terrors of death are upon him. Their treasures will be thrown into the deepest darkness. A wildfire will devour their goods, man. Like I say, these nukes are going to destroy this man's infrastructure, man. The chariots are going to set a fire, okay, this wicked infrastructure, man. All these internet cables and all this going to be destroyed, man. Okay, everything that he needs to run this infrastructure, man, you best believe is what you call precision strikes. When Esau sent his air force, or military in general, when they send their air force, okay, well, they have what you call a target package, a list of targets, for precision strikes. Okay, you best believe them chariots gonna be getting busy. All right, on this infrastructure. Okay, the digital infrastructure this devil has set up all throughout the earth, man. You know, it said consuming all they have left. The heavens will reveal their guilt. Yeah, the internet. Okay, and who's on the internet? The prophets. Okay, the Lord has the prophets on the internet, man. Okay, going in on this devil, man, exposing everything, you know, in this purest form. See, because the prophets got the perspective from the heavens, man. You know, from the spiritual realm. All right, and via these satellites, you know, that transmit. Okay, and that send these lessons out as we teach, you know, throughout the world. Well, the guilt of Esau is being revealed. Okay, and he's guilty as hell. You see, it says, "And the earth will reveal their guilt, and the earth will testify against them. A flood will sweep away their houses. The Most High's anger will descend on them in torrents, man." You know, so we're getting ready to see the Most High's anger descend on Esau, man. Okay, and we're seeing it descend on this devil, man. All right, this devil be walking around like he got it all together and figured out, man. He don't. Okay, nigga finna lose. All right, this nigga getting desperate. So let's play this. Okay, let's play a little bit of this. All right, because we know, you know, that these AI, you know, data centers are now a big thing. You have a lot of people kicking against it, and these devils, they're gonna throw them up anyway. All right, because I got another video going into it. But what we're seeing, okay, that this devil, he's gonna have to come down with great wrath. The Lord is forcing this nigga hand, and he gonna have to really do what he gotta do, man. Okay, because he's starting to get a lot of kickback. Okay, so let's play this. Got a couple videos getting into.
democracynow.org. I'm Amy Goodman. Calls are growing across the United States for moratoriums on new AI data centers over their impact on energy costs, water and land use, the U.S. economy, greenhouse gas emissions, and democracy. In Maine, state lawmakers recently approved the first statewide moratorium, but the governor, Janet Mills, vetoed the legislation. A new Gallup poll released today shows 7 out of 10 Americans oppose data centers being built near them, and the opposition spans the political spectrum. In Utah, residents are fighting plans to build what would be the largest data center in the world in Box Elder County. If built, the facility would generate and consume more energy than the entire state of Utah. The proposed complex would cover an area more than 2.5 times the size of Manhattan. Estimates show the project could increase Utah's greenhouse gas emissions by 50%. On Capitol Hill, Vermont's Independent Senator Bernie.
There you see 7. All right, 7 out of 10. You know, people are opposed to data centers, man. And that's an overwhelming majority. Okay, now they don't have any power to stop it, because as you can see, you know, they voted for a moratorium, which is supposed to stop, all right, the construction of these data centers. But then the governor vetoed it. Okay, so these people going to these town hall meetings, you know, are for nothing. Okay, because these elites, either they're gonna, you know, get their government, these local governments to veto it. Okay, these big corporations, you know, because these governors are in on the tape. Okay, or they got some type of blackmail on these niggas. You know how Esau, all right, and this tacky, all right, chaotic kingdom. But yeah, man, it just shows you though that, you know, there's starting to be an uprising, man. But this is beautiful, man, because, you know, these people uprising is just going to force the devil to come down with more wrath, you know, which there's a step closer to his end, you know, and that's something that the Lord is going to allow Esau to do, is come down with great wrath, man, you know, but the elect are protected, you know, whether we have the spirit to, you know, take the death if necessary, or the Lord, and the Lord going to lift a standard. You see? So when this devil makes his move with wrath, and it's good that he's been agitated to wrath, and these people are being agitated to begin to revolt. Okay, because it all plays in our favor, man. Okay, but let's play a little bit more of it, then segue to another one.
Sanders and Democratic Congressmember Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez have introduced legislation to impose a temporary national moratorium on new artificial intelligence data center construction.
More than 100 local communities across 12 states have already enacted local moratoriums on data centers, and Congress itself has a moral obligation to stand with them and stop big tech from ruining their communities. Our legislation.
And that's where you people are so, like, goddamn, what did your government have to do to show you that they don't give a damn? Okay, you talking about the Congress moral obligation. The Congress don't have no morals, man. Okay, you people are so desperate to try to get America back on track some type of way, and it's over. All right, Esau is rolling out of technocracy, man. All right, the Congress ain't got no morals. Esau don't have no morals, man. Okay, they're gonna roll this thing out, and they're gonna roll over you in the process. Okay.
In the House and the Senate would hit the brakes on construction of new data centers until we address several of the key areas of harm AI poses.
I'm shocked. We go now to North Carolina, where we're joined by Astra Taylor, writer, organizer, co-founder of the Debt Collective. She co-wrote a new piece for The Guardian headlined, "The fight against AI data centers isn't just about tech, it's about democracy." Astra Taylor and Naomi Klein's forthcoming book out this September is titled End Times Fascism and the Fight for the Living World. Astra, welcome back to Democracy Now! Why don't you start off just by talking about what these AI data centers are, this largest one in Utah. I was just in Middleburg, Virginia last night. Every other person was raising this issue with me, very critical issue in Virginia right now. Explain what they are.
Thanks for having me. Yeah, data centers are essentially the backbone of the AI revolution. Data centers aren't new. Every time you use the internet, you're using data centers. So they've been around for a while, but they have been supercharged by the push towards artificial intelligence. Virginia is indeed the data center hub in this country, but they're spreading rapidly across the United States. Sam Altman, the head of OpenAI, has said that perhaps we'll have to cover the entire world in data centers. And it's about the drive for computing power. And they are often on an absolutely enormous scale. Like you described the data center being proposed in Utah, which would actually use twice as much energy as the entire state. There's one being proposed in Michigan that is going to be as big as 32 NFL football fields. And they use incredible amounts of energy, often gas, fossil fuel. They're being used as an excuse to put even old coal factories and coal production back online. And there are...
And it shows you that he limited with resources, the fact that they got to put coal production back online. All right, because oil and gas, replace, a lot of coal power, the coal power. Okay, so the fact that he has to put these coal, all right, he has to go back to using coal, all right, coal for power, shows you that he's limited, man. All right, and these data centers are the backbone of this technocracy, man. All right, this is pretty much the the hardware, the plumbing, okay, of this technocracy. All right, this DPI, digital public infrastructure. Okay, without the data centers, AI is just a dumb idol. It can't do nothing. Okay, it can't do nothing. Turn the data off on your phone and ask ChatGPT a question. Okay, you'll get nothing. You see, so without the data center, his AI is just a dumb idol. Okay, all this hype like the AI is this, this God, this fallen angel. Nigga, shut up. Okay, you see. It's just an input output. Okay. It's just super fast. All right. But let's go from there. Let's get this one and show you to the point that they just finna start taking. All right. Here we go. Let's play this. So this is another one, and it shows you that these devils now, they're to the point, all right, that they just want to start taking land, all right, for these data centers, man. Okay, going through these town hall meetings and voting. No, they've been just taking, man. Okay, and the spirit on this devil, all right, to go forward like we always get, brother, can get it. Revelation 12:12. Okay. And then brother can get that in Isaiah 14:6 in the NLT. Let's play this.
We keep hearing the hue and cry, more and more people complaining about this. People who live in communities around the country are now complaining about this low hum, this buzzing noise of these massive AI data centers that are being built near their homes. Take a listen. I would go insane. Can you imagine that?
Well, it's kind of like a white noise machine.
But nonstop, constantly? Can't even hear the birds? Like you just be hearing this low hum?
I just feel like anxiety about what possible radiation I may have exposed myself listening to this.
That governments are being accused, state governments and local power companies are being accused of seizing land as part of eminent domain. Yes, people's homes in order to tear them down, build large data centers. Here's one Georgia resident who went viral this week saying her home is about to be taken for an AI data center.
County Torque. Georgia Power is going to expand these lines to support power to the data center. What they're doing to homeowners is they're taking their homes. This is my childhood home behind me. It is being taken by force by Georgia Power. Homeowners in this county do not have a choice. It is called eminent domain, and they will take it.
Unbelievable. Austin Steinbart is a social engineer, founder of a show, and they both join us now. Great to see both of you. Thank you for being here again. Local communities piece of this and this displacement of families. Can they do this? I mean, you hear about governments taking homes for the expansion of highways or to put in a reservoir, but now AI data centers?
When it's an emergency authorization, he declared an emergency in regards to the artificial intelligence arms race. And I think that has opened up a lot of doors. I mean, there has, and to the powerful class to come in and make a justification for seizing land. I haven't seen anything as blatant as what you guys have just played there in that clip, but it doesn't surprise me at all. The past 20, 30 years, and president, when he was a real estate developer, he was notorious for aligning with governments to force people off of their property using the justification of eminent domain. So this doesn't surprise me at all. And they probably have a variety of tools in their toolbox to shove people off of their land. It's pretty grotesque.
They've been doing this, man. Like she said, Trump was doing this when he was a real estate agent, man. Just this bullying. That's why Trump move around like he just this bully. He gonna bully the earth, man. Why Trump, he throw his weight around like he just finna go the same way that he was a bully in real estate. He think that transition into how he gonna dominate foreign policy, man. And he see that shit ain't working. Okay, was he seeing that this shit different from real estate? Okay, the military is different from real estate. Okay, this is Revelation 12:12. It said, "Therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea." And this from the brother servant of Yahweh 144. It said, "Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he know it." Okay, he know it that he have but a short time. All right, the devil know it he have but a short time. And like I say, there's things that's not working in his favor that got this devil scrambling, man. All right, brother can get that. He's weird in his counsel. Isaiah 47, I believe 12, 13. Okay. Because this devil, he's pulling out all the stops, man. He's going to pull out all the enchantments, all the gimmicks. Okay. He's going to pull out all the stops to try to pull this off, man. Okay. He's not casually rolling out this new world order. No, this nigga is scrambling and frantic. Okay. And it's to the point that he just claiming eminent domain and taking people land. Okay, because he ain't got time to go. That's why Trump is here to be a wrecking ball to the American economy. Okay, and to the American democracy, man. Okay, that little piece of democracy that Americans have left. Hey, Trump came to finish that off. All right, the little wealth, all right, that the coming working class has left. Well, Trump came to finish that off. Okay, because when I say the American economy, I'm speaking of the wealth, okay, of the common people. Okay, because the economy is built to enrich, okay, the oligarchs, man. So when we speak about destroying the American economy, it's destroying, all right, the economy of the poor, all right, the little resources they got left. You see, and Trump is a wrecking ball, okay, and he was disguised, you see, as a savior. Okay, this Isaiah 14:6. It says, "You struck the people with endless blows of rage." Just a brother Quanah Warfare, I always hope for elect. It said, "You struck the people with endless blows of rage and held the nations in your angry grip with unrelenting tyranny," man. Okay, with unrelenting tyranny. See? So this devil, he just an unrelenting tyrant, man. Okay, he can never have enough. He can never be satisfied, man. Okay, and he's just a madman, all right, on the loose, man. And then he knows he's guilty. He knows, all right, that prophecy is beginning to work against the devil. He knows these things, man. You don't think Esau is not hearing, brothers' videos, and then these things are happening. Okay, these things are happening just as the Spirit of the Lord say they would, because Esau, you got to think of the anxiety of Esau. Okay, to know that he's an Edomite, to know that the scriptures, all right, pinpoint Amalek. You don't think Amalek know he Amalek? Okay, you see, and then these things are happening. All right, that has this devil having to scramble and really go forth, man. He's doing everything that the scripture says that he would do. The scriptures speak about famines. He's engineering the famine. He's manufacturing the famine. The scriptures speak about pestilence. Okay, he's manufacturing, all right, pestilence and viruses. Okay, the scriptures speak about a third world war. The devil has started a conflict that's going to turn into a third world war. The scriptures speak about him making his MOTB, all right, this technology mandatory. Okay, and he's doing it. What you had, King Charles. Okay, that old decrepit nigga, man. You see, talking about a digital ID. Okay, well, ultimate digital ID is going to be the RFID, all right, see here. Okay, so this devil, all right, he's subjugated to these prophecies, man. Okay, and in the prophecy, he loses. Okay, matter of fact, let's get that in Revelation, the same chapter, Revelation 12, verses 7. Was it Revelation 12, 7 through 9? 7 Yeah, 7 through 10. Okay, this the brother Malak, hopeful elect, Isaiah 47-12. It says, stand now with thine enchantments, okay, and with the multitude of thy sorceries, wherein thou hast labored from thy youth. If so be, thou shalt be able to profit. If so be, thou mayest, okay. Let me see. Did it jump? Thou mayest prevail. Yep, there you go. Thou mayest prevail. Okay, but we know the devil not going to prevail. All right. Matter of fact, we're going to, that prophecy and revelation going to go into it. Okay, but see, the devil, he has prospered through witchcraft, from his youth, so from the early stages of his kingdom. All right, the devil was tapped into this witchcraft, man, these enchantments. Okay, and the enlightenment age was this devil bringing these enchantments to the forefront. Okay, this was Esau bringing these enchantments to the forefront, man. You see? And now these enchantments ain't doing it for him like they used to. Okay, which has him what? We read verse 13, said, thou art weary in the multitude of thy counsels. See, because the Lord has raised up the prophets, the Lord has raised up a resistance on the right hand side. There was a time he wasn't being resisted in the spirit. Now, now he's being resisted on the spiritual level. See, Esau got an answer for a carnal rebellion. Okay, he got an answer for that. That's his realm. When it comes to that weaponry and that's his realm. That's his blessing. He's equipped to deal with a carnal rebellion. But see, he's not built to deal with. He's not built to deal with a spiritual resistance, man. Okay, from the right hand side. You see, because he's tapped in on the left, but he's not able to deal against the right because the right is far stronger than the left, man. Okay, and what does it have? It has thou art weary in the multitude of thy counsel. Let now the astrologers, the stargazers, the monthly prognosticators stand up and save thee from these things. All right, there shall come. Okay, so the Lord is making mockery of Esau for these things that shall come upon thee. Okay, so our power is making mockery of Esau, man. Okay, like, look, use your witchcraft that you use. You see, use that witchcraft that got you here. Keep trying it. See what that do for you, man. Okay, because the Lord is withdrawing their left hand from Esau. The Lord is turning this nigga to a caveman right before us, man. The Most High got this nigga turning back to a caveman. All right before our eyes, man. The devil, he's peeking out, man. Okay, and the scriptures say, if thou mayest prevail, well, let's go. What did this prophecy say about this devil prevailing? Okay, and see, Esau got to deal with this. He got to deal with Revelation 12:7. Okay, 2nd Ezra 13. He got to deal with that. You see? See, Esau got the hardest fall. These elites, you see, they got the hardest fall coming, man. Okay, this is the brother Quanawal, GMS prayer, always hopeful elect, Revelation 12:7. And there was war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon fought and his angels. Okay, so this war in heaven, which is a war in the atmosphere, and Michael is a representative of the armies of heaven, which these armies are going to be led by Yahweh Shai. Okay, so Michael represents the armies of heaven. Okay, you see, led by Yahweh Shai, because the scriptures say how Yahweh Shai is going to wage war in righteousness. Okay, so this is the war that Yahweh Shai is going to bring to these devils, man, to this dragon, to this beast system that runs the earth. Okay, Yahweh Shai, who they're coming from Edom, will die going from Basra, man. Yahweh Shai coming straight to these Edomites, man. Okay, now when you go to verse 8, okay, there's war in the atmosphere, those chariots versus Esau's, all right, mortal armies. Okay, all right, this dumb, stupid nigga gonna fight in the mortal army. So show you the Lord got this nigga hard, man. You see, Alexa ain't gonna get you. You ain't gonna be able to ask Alexa. Okay, a Palantir. You ain't gonna be able to Palantir the chariots. Okay. It's gonna be useless, man. Your wealth, your technology gonna be useless when Yahweh Shai enter this realm. Revelation 12 and 8, it says, and prevailed not, neither was their place found any more in heaven. Okay, neither was their place found any more, okay, in heaven, which is in rulership. Okay, and also in the actual atmosphere, because his military, all right, his air force is gonna come down to the earth as powder, man. Okay, it's dust. Okay, blew out the air. You see, and also his place, his position in rulership, because heaven goes into rulership as well. That's going to be stripped away. Okay, so verse 9 it says, and the great dragon was cast out, the old serpent called the devil and Satan, which deceived the whole world. He was cast out into the earth, man. Okay, so this is Esau's military, all right, being destroyed, man. Which Esau comes in the spirit of Satan. All right, he is the devil, the deceiver. Okay, the old serpent, that spirit, that was back in the garden. This is a spirit that governs the earth, man, that rules the earth in complete wickedness, man. Okay, but he's going to be brought down to nothing, man. His military is destroyed, his infrastructure destroyed, and he's going to go into captivity, man. Okay, and this is what we are waiting on. Verse 10, it says, Revelation 12 and 10, it says, and I heard a loud voice in heaven saying, now is come salvation and strength and the kingdom of our power and the power of his anointed. You see, the kingdom of our power and the power of his anointed, Yahweh Shai, man, Hamashiach. Okay, so Yahweh Shai is getting ready to usher in, all right, the kingdom, okay, of righteousness in the earth, man, the throne of David. He's going to rule, under the authority of the Father in righteousness forever, man. Okay, so everything that we're seeing the devil, attempt to do, okay, is going to fail. All right, now let's go from there. Because you go here real quick. So it was a big thing about Esau going over there to meet. All right, Trump going over there to meet. Let's see. Yeah, Trump going over there to have a meeting, okay, with China. Now, we know as far as dealing with China, all right, China is down for sure, with this new world order. Okay, China is years ahead of America. And the reason that China was able to get so far ahead of America because China already had a totalitarian, all right, government. Okay, they didn't have the red tape, okay, that the American, all right, government has. You see, and that's why there's been, a race to destroy, okay, the government. Those came in, just doing away with certain departments, and it was making way for a technocracy, man. He came in and, took the data, gave it to Palantir. Okay, so this was these devils, all right, paving the way for a technocracy in America, man. To get America caught up. You see, Trump is here to get America caught up with promises of making America great again. You see, so you still have simple niggas that think that. Okay, but overall, we know that there's a global agenda at play. All right, and when we go into these meetings, all right, they're not just discussing one thing. There are different things being discussed. All right, because there's agendas within agendas. Okay, and he went over there with all those tech guys because we have to remember, America, they buy a lot of nations. The scriptures say how she's selling nations through a whoredom. Okay, they buy a lot of nations and come because what they'll do, they'll come with these packages to these different nations. Okay, so like, look, if you do this and this and that, you'll have this share of the market. You'll have this. We'll get this. We'll do this for your infrastructure. We'll do that. Boom, this technology. Okay, so they have these sellout packages for these nations, especially nations that they don't want to go to war with. They don't want that to be their first option. Now, these little weaker nations, they'll just go and run through them and remove the government and set up a government that they want. But there's certain nations, okay, they like, look, because they already have certain agreements. China and America are, intertwined economically. Okay. Their prosperity, America's prosperity comes from China's cheap manufacturing. Okay. China prosperity comes from American consumerism. Okay. So they're joined at the hip economically. Okay. But there's always, these nations will always have these rivalries. Okay. They always have rivalries, and these rivalries brewing into war. Okay. And with the events that have happened dealing with Iran, okay, America is trying to make a deal. Okay, when I say America, I'm talking about the oligarchs behind the American system. Trump and them are just the do boards of representatives, man. Okay. Now, ultimately, I say China has been built up with American technology. Okay. But what we have to understand, prophecy, okay, dominates the agenda of Esau. There's a lot of things this devil is not going to be able to do. And the things that he's going to be able to do because it aligns with prophecy, and the Lord is going to allow him to do it. Okay. So it's a lot going on in these talks, but we're going to touch on a few things, not get, super deep. And we'll stay close to prophecy, as we go into it. So let's listen to a little bit of this. All right.
Yeah, New York Times article came out today.
Yeah.
Let me see. Go back to the beginning.
Not have a nuclear weapon, the Strait of Hormuz should be open.
Oh, come on, man. What this thing, man?
Did you read the post by Trump?
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Oh, damn it. I wanted to be the one to read it to you, so I see your reaction live.
Yeah. Well, I'd already had information. A friend of mine has talked to a White House source, said that the Chinese told Trump to go pound sand.
Why? Like how? Like in the meeting, as in the meeting, he came and asked for help on Iran. They're like, hey, no.
Yeah, whatever request he made of the Chinese rejected it.
And all they gave him is these political compliments that Iran should not have a nuclear weapon. The Strait of Hormuz should be open. There should be freedom of passage. And I think they said they won't militarily help. According to Trump, they won't militarily help Iran. It's just empty words to give him something he can take to MAGA.
Yes, yeah, that's a lie. China's providing Iran with military assistance.
Yeah, New York Times article came out today.
Yeah.
So, real quick, what I want brothers to get, because we have to remember it's a lot of treachery. Okay, let's get Isaiah 33:1, and let's get Isaiah 21:2. Okay, and if you get the Isaiah 21:2 in the NLT, Baba Shah. Well, let's get this word treachery up here too. I'm gonna look this up. So basically, now we know, all right, that it's a lot of propaganda, dealing with, America and China. There's always these talks of, imminent war, between America and China, and they paint as if, any moment it can be a full-scale war, with America and China, which we know through prophecy is not going to happen like that. Now, China is going to get involved in this war, okay, but it's going to be through the way the Lord wants it to happen, all right? And it's going to be through what? Iran, okay? Because China is helping and assisting Iran militarily. Now, they got different, agendas with, the technocracy, okay? And that's in play. But then the Lord got this war, okay, brewing in the background while these devils are attempting to roll out this new world order. But this war is brewing in the background. And like I said, America didn't perform like they thought they was gonna perform, man. All right, and these nations are looking at America different. Okay, Trump really went over there with no power, with no leverage. Okay, because they see that, okay, America, nigga, you ain't. Because see, the whole thing, China and Russia they've been preparing themselves to stay strong in case they ever had to go in the full scale war with America. They knew they were gonna have to come with it. Okay, but as they're seeing, how American military is performing, you best believe. See, this people that's all, because like I say, it's levels to everything we see. You have what's going on political level. Okay, but that's not the end all be all. You have what's going on the ground, and that's not the end all be all. The end all be all is the prophecy. So we follow what's happening on the ground and what's happening politically. Okay, and we draw a line to where they meet and line up with prophecy, man. Okay, so what we're seeing with America, which America is known for being treacherous, man. Okay, how they deal with these nations. So with these nations see a chink in the armor of the American military. Okay, America don't have the leverage that they had anymore. Okay, he didn't bring all those techs over there for nothing. Okay, they I say this nigga. You best believe they try to make China a deal. Okay, that was supposed to be, like it was probably a crazy deal. They discussed other things as well. Okay, but you best believe that America went over there with some type of deal. Okay, to try to decouple, all right, China from Iran, because they see, all right, they see now, okay, that with Iran's missiles and China's technology, okay, Iran hard to deal with. Okay, they're like, well, look, if they could try to decouple, okay, China's technology from Iran's, okay, military, okay, because they gonna go back at Iran. You gotta understand, they gonna go back at Iran. Okay, so you best believe they were discussing about, look, when we go back at these niggas, man, look, can y'all fall back with the technology, man, with the with the satellites, man. You best believe that's probably part of the discussion. I'm just speculating. Okay, well, I would bet, that was part of their discussion. Like, look, fall back with the tech, helping them technologically, man. Because they're rolling out this new world order. But then I say it's rivalries, it's actual rivalries in this thing, man. And America been a whole ass nigga for a long time. Okay, because they had that petrodollar and the goddamn military, man. But as this thing transitioning, that American system don't have the grip that it used to. Okay, the military and the petrodollar, man. Okay, on these other nations, because the petrodollar is still going to be the strongest currency always. Okay, but the ability to cripple nations to where they can't function, man, is losing the ability to do that because they have a sanctioned economy that's working outside the American dollar, man. And it's all the militaries spoken of in the Bible that's operating in this economy outside the dollar. All right, so they can do what they need to do for prophecy, man, and turn this bitch to a desert. Okay. So let's play a little more of this.
Yeah. What do you make of that post?
Well, what do you do when you're an insecure person? You always hype. That's what Trump's doing. He's a very insecure person. He has to make everything all, it was Biden that was bad. He's great. He's the greatest of all time.
So that's just for the audience that hasn't read the post. This is Trump just put out a post 10 minutes ago, I think. He said, because she indirectly said the US is a declining nation. I can't remember the exact quote, but you could tell us. And then what Trump just posted is like what she meant was the US was a declining nation under Biden, but is no longer a declining nation under Trump. And even she praised Trump and what he's done in these 16 months. And another thing he said is that and he started going through all the, the all-time high in the stock market, etc. And he also says the relationship with Venezuela, thriving relationship, and the military decimation of Iran, quote, to be continued in brackets. But then, so that's Trump's response to the statement by Xi. Do you remember Xi's exact statement, what it was?
No, I don't. But
I'll try to find it.
Look, as I think we talked about last time, the Chinese sent all the signals that they consider the United States a second-rate nation. They didn't tout it on. They didn't put it on the front headline. The major headline that, oh, Trump's coming for talks. No, they focused on the relationship with Tajikistan, which the railroad that connects China to Iran passes through Tajikistan. And the sidebar story was only peripherally about Trump. It was more about all the international challenges that Xi is confronting on behalf of China. The major websites in China didn't say a thing about the visit. The Iranian flags were still up 6 hours before Trump landed in China. So instead of putting U.S. flags up, they had Iranian flags up. So it was, and then the greeting at the airport. Trump was met by, the second tier. He wasn't met by Xi. When Putin visited in 2024, Xi was there at the airport. In fact, when Kim Jong-un visited China, Xi was at the airport. So you got a lot of...
Those are the kings of the East. Okay, Putin, all right, their chief prince, all right, the North Korean, all right, Kim Jong-un, all right, the North Korean, okay, leader. Those are the kings of the East, So Xi was there to greet them, okay, with Trump that he sent, second tier government officials to pick that nigga up from the airport, man. Okay, now, how much of this is, a fake, or is this authentic? But we know one thing: the kings of the East are going to play a major part in destroying Babylon, okay, and them small hats, okay. You see, so hey, you look at these things in the spirit. We know these devils, they play these games like it's because we know they hype up the rivalry, like China and America is just, one event away from war. No, it's not one event away from war. But the kings of the East are going to make an alliance against this whore and destroy this bitch, man. So they hype it up like America and China is just, this one event, away from just this all-out war. No, it's not. That's not the case. But according to prophecy, the kings of the East are going to get involved in this conflict that's happening in Iran. Okay, Kim Jong-un already pledged his allegiance to Iran. China is already helping Iran militarily, whether that's supplying them with hardware, okay, supplying them with intelligence, okay, and Russia is already helping them in the same capacity, man, even more so, okay. So we know that it's not going to be this conflict with America and Iran, America and China directly, based on, an event that can happen between those two. No, but we know prophetically that China is going to be a part of those kings of the East that's going to come forth, man. Okay? And play a part in turning America to a desert. Okay? And we're seeing the build up to these things, man. Okay? They said China didn't even put, the Trump visit on the front page, man. Because they looking at America like a second tier country. Right? Like a second tier power now, especially the performance they put out with Iran. Okay, now it's like, oh, we got these niggas, man. Because there was always a lot of speculation about, okay, if America and China went to war, America and Russia went to war. So now they seeing how they perform with Iran, it's like, oh, nigga, we got you, nigga. Yeah, we got you. Is China like said, and because I'll tell you this, if America was able to take down Iran and put in a Western regime, okay, in Iran and had control, and that would give America, all right, control of the Strait of Hormuz, Xi Jinping, it's just me speculating, Xi Jinping would have had to bring his ass to America, man, and discuss something. Because see, as they go into this new world order, everybody want to go in with power. Everybody want to go in with leverage. Because when they iron out how they gonna run this new world order, who gonna be over what tier, because you want to come in as a first tier power. Okay, nobody want to go into this technocracy as a second tier power. So you have these nations actually jocking. You have these when I say nations, say the different oligarchs that's behind these governments, man, they're jockeying for position going into this new world order, man. Okay, because if America was able to get the Strait of Hormuz, and if they was able to take down the Iranian regime, and which would give the West, okay, full control of the Strait of Hormuz, Xi Jinping most likely would have had to bring his ass to America, man. Okay, and try to get a deal from Trump. Okay, which we know Trump is just a representative of the oligarchs that run the American system, man. Okay, so so let's I want to jump ahead a little bit. Yeah, bro, they look gun, bro. They looking at America like, nigga, we got you. Yeah, nigga, we thought, yeah, but you ain't. You see, you overrated. Okay, but let's play this and then we'll get some of them precepts y'all brothers got. But I think it's around the 15-minute mark. He gonna say something else. Let's go here.
Looking at the statement by China, by the way, it doesn't even mention the word Iran. Oh, hold on. Yeah, nothing. Let me see if it mentions Hormuz. No.
Yeah. No, their issue is Taiwan. Taiwan and the U.S. sanctions that the U.S. imposes on the Chinese and attempts to dictate to the Chinese how they must conduct their government. Those are sacred. Those are sovereign rights of China.
Yeah, it doesn't mention Iran at all.
Yeah, and that's why I think the pound sand reference that the Chinese told Trump, according to a White House source, is it regarded Iran. The United States wanted to get China to intervene to help basically bring Iran to heel. And what China is doing with Russia is they're in the process of constructing this new strategic security architecture in the Persian Gulf, which basically expels the United States from the Persian Gulf.
The kings of the East. Okay? Like I say, these oligarchs, they got their, agenda in the background, okay? That they, want to roll out and, certain deals being made for the technocracy. But then, all right, this prophetic war, okay, is falling together. It's falling in place, So trying to we got deals with, because like I say, they went there to try to decouple China from Iran, okay? China told them, nigga, no, okay? Nigga, we're going to fight it out now. We like our chance fighting now. We was kind of skeptical about fighting you niggas, but now, nah, nigga, we'll just fight it out, nigga. Because America is used to being able to have that leverage of the aura of invincibility, They used to walk in those meetings with this leverage of, nigga, you don't want to deal with this militarily, like, nigga, let's work something out. But now these nations like, nigga, we'll fight now. So all that, America being able to throw weight around, nigga, ain't no weight to throw no more. Okay? Like, these nations is looking like, well, nigga, we'll take our chance fight. So these meetings ain't going like they used to, man. Okay? And these nations are forming these certain alliances, man. Russia, China, and Iran. Okay? And the world is looking at this like, shit, this and say, this the system we're going to get behind,
That's where this is headed.
Yeah. So how does it relate to what we're seeing in Iran now? What happens next day? We saw statements or reports from Israeli media. There's a security meeting they're convening this weekend. Let me see what the reports are. And Channel 12 saying they're expecting war. Khan News, they're expecting war. and that Israel's preparing for war. The president canceled his trip to China, to the US due to unforeseen circumstances. So are the war drums up and going again? Israeli president canceled his trip due to circumstances preventing the visit at this time. And the IDF will enter the maximum state of alert starting tomorrow when Trump leaves China.
Yeah, I wonder, for those who are into the poly market, place the bet. How long after Trump goes wheels up in Beijing, headed back to the States, does the order to launch an attack on Iran come? So if I was going to bet, I'd bet within 6 hours. So
you think it's imminent?
Yeah, I think they're gonna. I think Trump is going to do it again.
But why?
He's trapped. He's caught in a trap. And the trap.
So he always get it. Brother can get it. Jeremiah 51:24. The Lord got Esau in the trap. I say Trump is just a representative of, the higher ups of Esau. You see? But ultimately they stepped into a trap, man. Okay? They stepped into a trap, and now, they have no choice but to go forward. Ain't no going backwards. Okay? Ain't no going back to before February 28th. That's over with. There's only one way. The Lord threw this nigga in the ring, and built a cage around it. You see? The Lord threw America in the ring, all right, and built a cage around the ring. So, nigga, you gotta, do what you do best. Okay? So let's play a little more. Then we'll get these.
He either tries to go all in and pull a rabbit out of the hat militarily, which is, not going to happen in my judgment. The Iranians are too strong and their defense is too solid. Or he's got to walk away. There's no in between path for him. And
but I just think walking away is still a better option. Like if he's got these political, the statements from Xi or what the White House claims Xi said, he could use for his base to claim this as a win. And then, so that's one. Number two is the Gulf is pressuring him too as well. According to one report, Saudi told Trump the war in Iran should be ended and the Strait of Hormuz should be open, citing, quote, immeasurable economic losses if the situation continues. Also, Saudi again as well today has discussed the idea of a non-aggression pact between Middle East states and Iran as part of talks with allies on how to manage regional tensions. So they're talking about a pact in the region, which includes Iran, to avoid aggression, which is in preparation for, once the American military presence is scaled back, they have to figure out what to do with that. A neighbor up north that's wounded or pretty upset at what just happened. And based on the report against Saudi, which would have the most influence in the region on Trump, is telling him pretty directly, according to this report. And I've seen other similar reports.
Yeah, GCC nations, all right, they best option, the few of them, they're just going to side with Iran, because America can't protect them. Okay, then it only get worse from here. So yeah, there's another thing that he mentioned about how, Trump, I think he comes back today, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, I think the nigga come back today, and the market's closed. All right, this evening. So don't be surprised if they do. They could do a strike tonight. It'll probably be like 7, 8 our time if they were to do it. Maybe. Just speculate. And they might not do nothing for another month. Another few months, but eventually they're gonna get back to it. Okay, and they can go on. For some time while these devils still, all right, roll out this new world order, because the energy crisis is still in effect. Okay. And then you have the Hunter virus, they're giving this 2-month incubation, so they can push a narrative of that going haywire. And then it can be some more things. And then the Most High, all right, and you can make something happen and make these devils even have to rush more, man. So day for day, man. It's a lot, and everything working in our favor. That's the beautiful thing. But this Isaiah 33:1, you know, like I said, I'm just speculating about tonight, so it don't happen. I say, oh, nigga, Yasha lying, you know, this this Yashima tribe of Judah, Isaiah 33:1. It says, woe to thee that spoilest, and thou was not spoiled, and dealest treacherously, and they dealest not treacherously with thee. When thou shalt cease to spoil, okay, when thou shalt cease to spoil, because now America's being humbled to where they trying to make deals now. You know, they trying to talk things out, you know, but no, these nations, they just finna deal treacherous, all right, with them. All right, so keep reading. It says, and thou was not spoiled, and when thou shall make an end of dealing treacherously, they shall deal treacherously with thee. So you gotta understand, these nations are getting ready to deal treacherously with America because they got agreements. You know, all these nations, like I say, America and China's military is one in the, economy is one in the same. All right, they got the America and China has the number one and number two economy, okay, in the world. But then they use the most oil in the world. They use the most gas and oil. Okay, China and America use a third of the global's oil intake for, because it's 100 million barrels a day that the world uses for its energy, that the planet Earth uses for its energy, for this industrial system. Okay, America used 20 million barrels of oil a day. China uses 16, close to 17 million barrels of oil. So that's a third, a little bit more than a third of the oils, intake, daily, man. So you know that, and then the fact that they have to go to bringing coal, using coal for these data centers, lets you know that they're limited, man. Okay, and it's a real scramble for resources, because if America would have took the straight, they would have been able to cripple China with energy, man. Okay, so it's a game that they play. You know, they got they agree, and they got certain, you know, they intertwine, because the global system is intertwined. But as they getting ready to break down this old system and go into a new one, everybody want to go in with strength and leverage, man. Okay, they don't want to be no second tier nation in this new world order. Okay, and they're gonna fight about it. You see, in America, they're gonna deal everybody. All these other nations are plotting against America, man, because America has been in that spot, that number one spot for a while, man. Okay, that American system. Okay, but now it's like, nah, man, we finna do something else. Okay, because even you go into the history with the Bretton Woods Agreement. See the Bretton Woods Agreement. The USSR was there, okay, but they didn't. The USSR, the old Soviet Union, they didn't agree with America dollar being the world reserve currency, man. They walked away, you know, from that meeting. That's, you know, what immediately after that you had the Cold War that led to what we see today. Okay, so there's rivalries. There's actually rivalries in the midst of this. Okay, there's a lot of propaganda. There's a lot of things that are staged, but there are rivalries in the midst of the devils. Okay, in these other nations, man. There's Isaiah 21:2. It says, "I see a terrifying vision. I see the betrayal betraying America, the destroyer destroying America. Go ahead, you Elamites and Medes. All right, attack and lay siege." Okay, so this is Russia and Iran. Okay, so this is Russia and Iran that the Lord has gave a command to lay siege, all right, to Babylon. Okay, you see this treacherous whore, all right, and this American system, these elites, you know, are used to dominate, okay, through this American system. But see, it made their ambition made these niggas walk right into the trap. Jeremiah 15:24 says, this is brother Malak, hopeful elect 144, Jeremiah 15:24. I have laid a snare for thee, and thou art also taken, O Babylon. Okay, America. And this is speaking to you elites. Okay, thou was not aware, thou art found and also caught, because thou hast striven against the Lord. See, the Lord is judging Esau for this rebellion, man. Okay, Esau's going to be judged for this rebellion, man. Esau, I say, he's not casually, okay, rolling out this new world order. Nah, this nigga got pressure on, okay, and certain things is not working in his favor, man. And the only thing this devil can do is what the Lord gonna allow this devil to do, all right, to fulfill prophecy, man. So we know the depopulation, the civil unrest, the MOTB mandate, the persecution of the prophets, okay, and then this war is gonna go nuclear. He out of here, man. You see, and he done walked into the trap. You see, so the Lord got a play going, okay, for his you know, for his agenda, for Yahweh Shai to come and reign, okay, for the elect to be delivered. You see, so let's I think I got one more quick video just dealing with the hunter. Just a quick update, see what they saying with that, okay, because they pushing it, they ain't just going crazy as they did with the C-19, okay, but they steady, you know, dropping little clips here and there. So let's play a little bit of this. Okay.
The virus has been discovered in Illinois, Well, now it turns out the hantavirus has been discovered in Illinois, the middle of the United States, and it is not connected to the cruise ship. I really did not think they were going to do this to us again. I really did not think they were going to turn this into another COVID-like pandemic, but maybe they actually are. Maybe they are. This is how it begins, right? It's a cruise ship. And you're thinking, well, I don't go on this cruise ship. And then they say, oh, yeah, well, there's a lot of people on this cruise ship and they disembark and they're all around the world. And you say, okay, yeah, but, you know, hantavirus, I mean, you're trying to fear monger us again. And what are the chances I'm going to come into contact with somebody who was part of this cruise ship? And now they say to us, oh, but it's not the cruise ship anymore. Anybody could get it. This person in the middle of Illinois got it because they were cleaning up rat droppings. That is actually the story.
Also breaking here this afternoon, a possible case of hantavirus in Illinois. Health officials say the case is not linked to the deadly cruise ship outbreak. They say a resident in Winnebago County, just over the border from Rock County in Wisconsin, may have contracted the virus while cleaning a home where rodent droppings were present. The CDC is conducting additional testing on that person in Illinois.
Oh, okay. So this is how it begins. And this is not the only one now. There's also a cruise ship, a different cruise ship that has some sort of illness going ship. People have died and it is now docked off the coast of France. People are not allowed to disembark. There's about 1,700 people on the ship. They don't know what it is. They say they're not sure yet if it's hantavirus, but they're testing to find out. So the cruise ship is called Ambition, and it is carrying about 1,700 passengers, many of whom are British, and they are stranded now in Bordeaux, really off the shore of France, after an outbreak of what looks like stomach flu. So one of the ship's passengers, a 92-year-old Brit, had passed away on board due to cardiac arrest. So they do tell us there's an illness on this ship. One person's died, but then you read into the notes a little bit more and it's, well, okay, he died of heart attack during a stop in Brest, Brittany on May 11th. And that death did not appear to be associated with the gastrointestinal outbreak, said the local French authority responsible for the Bordeaux region, right? They think he died of a heart attack and what's spreading on the ship right now looks to be stomach flu. So they're saying there's no reason to think the stomach flu outbreak came from Belfast or Liverpool, which is where the ship came from, with the hantavirus cluster on the luxury MV Hondias ship that traveled between Argentina and the Canary Islands. So the French authorities allowed some passengers to leave the Ambition ship, which is run by Ambassador Cruise Line on Wednesday.
Then the name of the ship is Ambition. You know, Baba Shai, if a brother could, and we'll end it with that precept. So the name of this ship is Ambition. Man. Like, oh man, you can't make it up. Okay, so you just got all these cruises, just floating viruses, you know, just going everywhere, dropping people off, man. Okay, all right. So let's get brother can put Proverbs chapter 11 and verse 5. in the NLT. Oh no, it's no, Proverbs 11:6 in the NLT. Proverbs 11:6 in the NLT, and it links over to what we just went into dealing with treachery. Yeah, Proverbs 11:6 in the NLT. Let's play a little bit of this. Play some more of this.
Wednesday evening, adding that those people would have to take the necessary precautionary health measures, such as regularly washing their hands. It's like wear a mask and it won't spread, right? Stay 6 feet apart and it won't spread. Walk in one direction in the grocery store and it won't spread. So they said that those who are feeling unwell are being treated on board the ship by the vessel's medical team and are being told to self-isolate. And they say that stomach flu can be common on cruise ships. The CDC has reported 2 outbreaks of E. coli and 2 outbreaks of norovirus this year already on cruise ships. I've never been on a cruise ship because I totally get seasick. But right now I'm so grateful for my seasickness that has prevented me from being on cruises. This is going to be the end of cruises. I just don't know how they're going to continue on like this. You know, now with the hantavirus outbreak on the first cruise ship and now this one, and these people are stuck off the coast of France. They can't go anywhere. I mean, this is like a cruise ship nightmare. You're stuck on a.
So yeah, let's just get that precept. So yeah, you got that going on now, you know. So you know, it seems like he's gonna make it stick. You know, is he gonna go crazy with it in the next 2 months when, you know, the incubation period is up, you know, for all these people that he's disembarked throughout the world, you know, from the ship, you know, they had the hantavirus. So we'll see, man. You know, but he's throwing little things out there here and there dealing with that, you know. So time will tell, you know. But every move he make is every step he take forward, prophecy takes all right 2 steps against this devil, man. So this is the book of Proverbs, chapter 11, verse 6. The brother Mark Ball. All right, it's in NLT. It said the godliness of good people rescues them, man, and that's the elect. Now we're going to get rescued from the judgment that the Lord's getting ready to bring. See, we're getting rescued from the Lord's anger. Esau, you know, he's just going to be a tool on the left-hand side where the Lord is going to, unleash anger as well, you know, because the Lord is going to use Esau, you know, with his sword, his power structure to judge the masses in the earth, you know, before Esau was judged by the wrath of the Lord. You see? So we're being saved and rescued from the Lord's anger. And that was part of the blood of Yahushua, you know, that plays a part now that we're going to be pardoned from the Lord's anger in these latter days, man. Okay? Well, it says the ambition of the treacherous, this treacherous nigga, the ambition of the treacherous people traps them, man. So this nigga trapped by his ambition and all this treachery that he's done, all right, within his rulership. Now it's going to work against him, man. Okay? Do you think anybody is going to all right, stay true to these agreements that they got, work with these niggas? No, man, they're going to fall out. Okay? And in the midst of them falling out, Yahushua is going to come and destroy all the militaries of the earth. Okay? And deliver his elect. So, just wanted to get into that, you know. Lord will, all right, you brothers. Okay, and you sisters was edified once again. I want to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh Bahashem, Yahushua Bahashem, Makapadash, and double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS who rule well, teach well, being great examples towards younger brothers. And peace and blessing, salutation to the whole collective. Shalom.